Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? LiveWire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is LiveWire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another LiveWire Sports Media. All right, so over a week or so, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about Stephanie White that I have heard Stephanie White could be coming to the Indiana Fever. All right, so with that being said, Stephanie White team was still in the playoffs at the time. And you know, when teams are looking for coaches, especially if the targeting teams that's in the playoff, they tend to wait, and whatever the case might be. So as I did that report, it was continued to talk, and I have heard things outside of that about Stephanie White. I have conversations with people about Stephanie White. I even was on Miss Adrienne Rosso. We talked about Stephanie White, what my thoughts was about Stephanie White, and she shared her thoughts. Now, as of yesterday, new reports came out about Stephanie White. Now, we all know that Stephanie White just wrapped up her exit interview, and she alluded to having some family situations going on. But it came to find out yesterday in this report by Annie Constable that Stephanie White is being in talks with the Chicago Sky, the Indiana Fever, and the Connecticut Sun. Now, it's quite naturally that the Connecticut Sun will continue to have talks with her because the last 2 years, she took them to the playoffs. So they want her to stay. But it's up to Stephanie White because even though she's under contract, she could leave. She don't have to be traded out of that contract. She could walk away from her contract. Something I didn't know, which I have heard through another podcast person. So that's kind of interesting because if she said, hey, I don't want to, so she could, pretty much leave the rest of her money or contract on the table, or they just, most people do mutual agreements. Most teams do mutual agreements, and then the person walks away. So, and like I said, the Chicago Sky also is in the mix because the Washington Mystics just fired their GM and their coach. So they're going to be looking for a coach and a GM. Is that a Tyson situation? No. Just like I alluded to in my other videos about how the Chicago Sky won't be a great choice for Stephanie White, because the fact of the matter is Stephanie White might be from Illinois, but the toxic situation that the Chicago Sky is around the whole whirlwind that they was going through the whole season, you want her to come into a situation that's kind of like where she wants to put in work, but she wants the roster to be there. The Sky roster is makeshift. They still gonna need pieces. They're gonna need. You still got to figure out what you're going to do with Kennedy Carter and other pieces that's there. So, and then I think they big. She was hurt, but she's coming back this year. Because she was the starter, and Cardozo was on the bench until she got hurt. Don't know the young lady name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but that's a whole situation. Now, and like I said before, with the Connecticut Sun, that situation is a little toxic as well. We seen how that rolled out. Stephanie White don't look like a toxic person, a toxic individual. Fans hopped on her because of certain things that the players have done dealing with Kaitlyn Clark. That's all fine and good, but you can't deny her coaching ability. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny that. You can't deny what she has did for that team. Even when her previous coaching stint, when she was with the Indiana Fever, her first year, she took the Indiana Fever to the finals, even though they lost to the Minnesota Lynx that year, but she took them to the finals. So she has that coaching pedigree. She's one of the hottest coaches out there. Matter of fact, Stephanie White she's 3 years under 50. So she's young. Now, I do want to touch on I want to push back a little bit before I get too deep in this. And I like another YouTuber, Mike Hoops. Shout out to Mike Hoops. Now I like his work and everything. I think he's from overseas. He's from a YouTuber overseas, but he covers the FIBA basketball. He covers a lot of stuff that goes on in the WNBA as well. But I do want to give a pushback on him because he did say that he was talking about Kurt Miller and Stephanie White, and I think to my knowledge, he thinks that Kurt Miller is a better coach than Stephanie White. But you got to understand, I don't know if he touched on it, but I don't think he understands that Stephanie White coached the Indiana Fever. She took them to the finals, before she left there to pursue other things. So let's just go through this real quick with Stephanie White. All right. So Stephanie White, she like I said, her first year, she took them to the playoffs. She lost in 2015. She took them to the playoffs. She lost. Excuse me. And then she was hired by the Fever in 2015. She finished third in the East. She lost in the finals with them. Then she coached them until 2016, and then she lost in the first round that year. And then from that point, she ended up coaching the Connecticut Sun in 2023, where she lost in the second round. And this year, she lost in the second round again. So I say this to say that when you look at Kurt Miller's record, he coached the Suns. I think he coached the Suns for 6 years. He coached them for 6 years. And he coached the Suns for 6 years. He missed the playoffs his first year. He lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The next year, lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals the following year, lost in the NBA Finals in 2019, lost in the semifinals the year after that, lost in the semifinals the year after that. In 2022, he lost in the finals before he was replaced by Stephanie White. And then Kurt Miller went on to coach the LA Sparks for 2 seasons, which they didn't ever make the playoff both seasons. So he was with the Suns longer, but Stephanie White took them to the playoffs back to back. Like I said, she took the Fever to the finals. He took the Suns to the finals. So even though he had a longer tenure with the Suns than Stephanie White has, but she still has success. So when you look at it, and Kurt Miller, he's 56 right now. So he's under 9.5, 10 years older than Stephanie White. So you got to think about it. Stephanie White, to me, is the hot item. I think Kurt Miller's probably second to her, but we can't make no mistake of thinking that, oh, well, we can't go after Stephanie White and just settle for Kurt Miller. I mean, his team missed the playoffs 2 years. So why would you hire a coach, even though he had some success years before, but you want somebody that still is familiar with your organization and has success there also as well with your organization. Now, talk about the Indiana Fever and the reason why I feel like Stephanie White is the go-to for everything. The Indiana Fever is in a situation right now to where they are, I guess you could call it a boom season, because they went, you drafted Chrissy Size for 2 years ago. and you drafted Alyssa Smith. Then you had Kelsey Mitchell there already. Then you had Leah Boston. You drafted her. Then you drafted Caitlin Clark. But then the popularity that came with Caitlin Clark skyrocketed your team, your record sale. I mean, your tenant sales, your merchandise sales, your gate sales, everything, your TV ratings, everything skyrocketed as soon as Caitlin Clark came. So if Chrissy Size was any other coach besides having Caitlin Clark on her team, yeah, she probably wouldn't even got fired. But the fact of the matter is that Chrissy Size took this team as far as the Indiana Fever organization is going to allow her to take this team. That's it. And a lot of you out there have said, well, she took the team to the playoffs. And I have rebutted that. And I kept saying to y'all this, it don't matter if she took the team to the playoffs. The team is in a situation where they have to capitalize on everything with this team, starting with Caitlin Clark. You don't want a mid-level coach coaching her. You want a coach that has the resume to be able to come in and be effective day one, not 2 years later, not 5 years later, because that by that time, your player's been on age, and then you're gonna have to, your window's going to be even short. Now you have a long window. You have the opportunity to get the players in free agency and to get a high-profile coach. Because I can tell you this: if the Indiana Fever lands Stephanie White, you're going to have a whole lot of free agents knocking down that door. I just seen a podcast earlier a few minutes ago with Sophie Cunningham talking about Caitlin Clark and saying how she loves Caitlin Clark. She said how they would had a little banter, talking at the All-Star game, even though I think Sophie Cunningham was a little tipsy. But she said it out her mouth. She would love to play with Caitlin Clark one day. Now, if Sophie Cunningham didn't sign that extension with Phoenix Mercury, she was on my free agent list to come to Indiana. And I think that's the kind of player you need around Kaitlyn. Somebody that's gritty. And I still haven't done my free agent list yet, and I will get to it. I promise y'all I will get to it. Hopefully by this weekend. It's been a little hectic, with work and everything. But nevertheless, back to Stephanie White. I said this before. We, a lot of us talk highly about Lisa Bluer, think she would be a frontman coach, but you got to understand the dynamics of that. You don't want your coach a coach that you were familiar with in college, because it might show some kind of favoritism. But I don't think Lisa Bluer is that kind of person, because she has got on Kaitlyn when she was at Iowa. But Lisa Bluer is retired. She was a little older. We all talked about Cheryl Miller. Cheryl Miller's old. I'm not going to lie to you. She's old. She done had issues with her legs and stuff like that, and you don't know how long she could deal with a season like that. But you got somebody like Stephanie White who could come in, take charge, understand Kaitlyn, minimize Kaitlyn. And like I said, all of these coaches, all these teams wish they had Caitlin Clark on their team. I just laid out to you how about Cheryl Miller. Now she's like that. Dang, I'm sure Cheryl Miller be like, Cheryl Reeves be like, you know what? Hey, I wish I had Caitlin Clark on my team. Even though I'm an idiot and I said some things, but I would give any amount of money to have Caitlin Clark on my team, running my team. Because you look at it, Sue Bird has laid out something that the two teams that was in the finals is missing: a true point guard. You imagine if Caitlin Clark was, because even though I like Sabrina Ionescu, but she's not a point guard like Caitlin Clark. She's not. If you look at Sabrina Ionescu's assist ratio to Caitlin Clark's, it's not even on the same world. But anyway. But like I said before, I think Stephanie Mills is the right choice for this team. I think she could bring a lot of what she had. It's just like you coach a team years ago, but you didn't have the experience how you coach the team. But now you get a second run at this team, and all the success that you had with another team, you can bring that to them and show this young squad how to be true winners. Show them how to be more gritty. Show them how to, maximize opportunity. Like I said before, the expansion draft is going to gut a lot of these top teams. A lot of these top teams ain't gonna be the same. And there's an opportunity right now for Indiana to take that second year leap even further with Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, because they could be one of the top teams that could be vying for a title next year or year 3. But I'll say next year if they get the right pieces in place. I believe if they land Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever could be playing for get in the playoffs and be playing for a title, and that's what it's all about. So, me personally, I gotta go to this article real quick because she Constable, she definitely she talked about how 3 teams are courting her. Like I said, it was the Sun, the Sky, and the Fever. And I think the Fever is going to do whatever they can to land her. And I think Stephanie White, I don't see her passing up the opportunity to say not want to coach Caitlin Clark, not want to be here. If you had a choice between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, it's a no-brainer. Caitlin Clark. You got to look at the roster over there at Connecticut Sun with DeWanna Barner and all of them. They free agents, but they probably get signed back to a 1-year deal. But do you want to make another run with the same old team? Or you want to come to a team that's fresh, is ready for a takeoff, like a Boeing 757 plane. You know what I'm saying? Ready for takeoff. So again, Stephanie White is in a great position because now she could look at all the teams. And to me, I feel like like I said, for what I've heard and what I've listened to, I think she will be the next Indiana Fever head coach. She has the resume to back it up. She's been there before. Because you from an area doesn't mean you want to go home. Because guess what? Illinois and Indiana are not too far apart. So she could always travel home. It's not that far. So she could always go home. So, but again, I think Stephanie White is the right choice and everything else. Now, on top of that, Caitlin Clark has been back in the lab, and she's, even though we saw her out there golfing with Lexi and everything like that, out there to galas, parties and stuff, but one thing she said she was going to do is work on her craft. And even though that Unrivaled is out there trying to get her, hey, it's definitely worth something seeing. Take a look.
I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I feel like there's just so many areas that I want to improve in, and to continue to get in the gym and work on that every single day.
If you listen to her, she wants to get in the gym. You look at her right there. She's working on her game. She's taking mid-range shots. She's doing the things that she needs to do. And when you're a star player like Caitlin Clark, you definitely want to continue to improve your game going into your second season. Something that we have talked about Angel Reese need to be doing. She's out here doing all of these shows, being all the place. But Kaitlyn has made appearances somewhere else. But guess what she's doing? She's out here playing. She's out here practicing. She's out here getting it in. She's out here doing the things that she needs to do. This is what Caitlin Clark is about. She's about ball, man. All that hoopla, that line life out there, it doesn't really matter to her. It's all about ball. And like I said, if you pair Caitlin Clark with Stephanie White, sky's going to be the limit. and you're going to see a whole different Indiana Fever team in 2025 than you've seen this year. Chrissy Size had done all that she could do, all what the Indiana Fever had asked her to do, and there's no shot. Some of it been good, some of it been bad. But you cannot go into Caitlin Clark's second year, Leah Boston third year with the same coach, with the same strategy, and then you got a new president and a new GM, and guess what? You still getting what? 19, 20 wins? You trying to get 30 to 40, 30, 35 wins next year. You trying to be the top team. You trying to have home field. Can you imagine the Indiana Fever with the number 1 seed at home in the playoffs next year? How wild that would be. They're already hosting the All-Star game in Indy, and then they get into the playoffs, make a deep run, have the number 1 seed, have home games at their state, at their arena, and cap it off with winning a WNBA title. Man, like I said, the sky's the limit, but you gotta have the right coach in place. And I think Stephanie White is going to be able to come back and coach a young team for years, not just for short term, but for years, because you have a young team. You don't have an old team. You don't have a team over there that's still searching for identity. As many speculate, say, oh, well, Kurt Miller would be perfect for the Chicago Sky. He's still, any coach that takes that job over there for the Chicago Sky, guess what? You still got to fix the roster. The Indiana Fever roster doesn't need that much fixing. You just add pieces around Kaitlyn and Boston and Kelsey, and guess what? Pew! Off like a rocket they go. So, my guess, hopefully soon, we hear Chrissy Side's name on that termination list, and then we introduce our new coach, Miss Stephanie White. Until then, this is your boy LiveWire Sports Media, and I'm out.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? LiveWire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is LiveWire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.